Football is a magical sport because the best team on paper doesn't always win. And that's exactly what this video is about. I want to break down the best national team at every single World Cup since '94 that never actually lifted the trophy. Now sure, there were editions where the favorite came through and won it all, but there were also tournaments where the so-called best team in the competition ended up going home early, or worse, losing a final to a side that was just sharper, more organized, more switched on tactically. And we're starting with the United States World Cup in 1994. 1994, Netherlands eliminated in the quarterfinals by Brazil, 3-2. Brazil won that tournament. And my mom is Brazilian, so trust me, our family was celebrating. Romario and Bebeto were extraordinary together. That attacking partnership is one of the greatest in World Cup history. Brazil deserved the title, no question. But the best team that didn't win it? For me, no debate, the Netherlands. In goal, Ed de Goey. At right back, Aaron Winter. Center back, Ronald Koeman. Alongside him, Frank de Boer. Left back, Jan Wouters. Holding midfield, Wim Jonk. In the middle of the park, Frank Rijkaard. Next to him, Rob Witschge. Out wide on the right, Mark Overmars. On the left, Peter van Vossen. And leading the line, Dennis Bergkamp. Dick advocates Holland set up in a 3-4-3, sometimes shifting to a 3-3-4, built around Ronald Koeman operating as a sweeper with the intelligence and range of a midfielder, and Dennis Bergkamp, who was already one of the most technically gifted players on the planet. Their campaign was solid, beat Saudi Arabia 2-1, lost narrowly to Belgium 1-0, put Morocco away 2-1 to finish top of their group. In the last 16, they destroyed Ireland 2-0, and then Brazil. The quarterfinal was a classic, 3-2 to Brazil in an epic match. The Dutch were right in it until the end. On a different night, that scoreline could easily have gone the other way. Bergkamp, Rijkaard, a young Overmars tearing down the left, Frank de Boer and Koeman reading the game like they had a cheat code. They don't get talked about enough. Genuinely, one of the most complete squads of that entire tournament, and most people couldn't name more than 2 players from it. And if you're enjoying this so far, subscribe, leave a like, be part of it. I want to create a real international football community here. Alright, 1998, Brazil. Final, lost to France, 3-0. I was 4 years old. I remember nothing. But here's what I know. Brazil came into France '98 as defending champions, as the biggest favorites, with arguably the most frightening squad on the planet. In goal, Taffarel. Right back, Cafu. Center back, Baiano. Beside him, Aldair. Left back, the GOAT in this position to me, Roberto Carlos. Holding it all together in midfield, Dunga. Next to him, Cesar Sampaio. And on the other side, Leonardo. Just behind the front two, Rivaldo. Up front, Bebeto. And leading the line, R9, Ronaldo. Ronaldo and Romario had been horrifying together at the Confederations Cup the year before. Genuinely, as a striking partnership, there was nothing like it in world football at that moment. 2 players who thought at the same speed, who found each other in spaces that shouldn't exist, who combined instinct with technical quality in a way that made defending against them feel almost unfair. Then Romario got injured, just like that. Out. One of the 2 most dangerous strikers on the planet, gone before the tournament even started, and I think people underestimate what that actually meant. Bebeto came in, experienced, a World Cup winner, still an excellent footballer, but he wasn't Romario. Nobody was Romario, and somewhere in that Brazilian camp, before a ball was kicked in France, something shifted, and Brazil still looked like world beaters. Cafu and Roberto Carlos, 2 of the most attacking fullbacks in the history of the position, both in their absolute prime, bombing forward from every angle. Rivaldo as the 10, Leonardo in midfield, Ronaldo up front, 21 years old, and playing like someone had handed the cheat codes to a teenager. They got to the final, beat Chile 4-1, Denmark 3-2, knocked out the Netherlands on penalties in the semis after drawing 1-1, and then the final. And the incident. Hours before kickoff, Ronaldo had a convulsive episode. He was taken off the team sheet, put back on. Nobody really knew what was happening, and when Brazil walked out at the Stade de France, they weren't right. Something was off. France were 3-0 up before most people had finished their halftime drinks. The margin between that Brazil squad winning the World Cup and losing 3-0 in the final is one bad night in a hotel room. That's it, and that's why this one lingers. 2002 Italy, round of 16. lost to South Korea, 1-2 after extra time. Still one of the most controversial results in World Cup history. So, I was 7 years old in 2002, and I remember everything. That was the first World Cup I actually sat down and watched. Brazil were unbelievable. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, the best squad I've ever seen at a World Cup. Ronaldo scoring twice in the final against Germany, 2-0, historic. But the best team that didn't win it, Italy. In goal, Gianluigi Buffon. Right back, Zambrotta, and then the back three, Nesta, Cannavaro, the legend, Maldini, that back three. In the double pivot, Zanetti and Damiano Tomasi. Just behind the forwards, the outstanding Totti. Up front, Del Piero. And leading the line, Christian Vieri. Italy came into that tournament as one of the genuine favorites. They'd reached the Euro 2000 final just 2 years earlier, lost it to France. The Zidane and Henry and Trezeguet generation on a golden goal. Painful way to go. And look at who else was supposed to be dangerous in 2002. France were the reigning world champions, reigning European champions. And most people in the media had them as the outright favorites, more so than Brazil, who'd had a difficult few years leading into the tournament. France were catastrophic, eliminated in the group stage without scoring a single goal. Defending champions, out before the knockouts. Argentina, another team people expected to go deep, same story. Gone out in the group stage. Germany reached the final, and I say that with respect. They were a well-organized, hard-working side. Kahn in goal, Ballack pulling the strings, Neuville and Schneider providing energy. A good team, but a team built on structure and effort rather than individual brilliance. Nobody was putting Germany on their short list of favorites before that tournament started. So when you clear all of that away, France out, Argentina out, Germany there on merit, but not exactly frightening on paper, Italy stand out, because Serie A at that point was the best league in the world. Milan, Juventus, Inter, all of them stacked with elite Italian talent, and the national squad reflected that. This was one of the best generations Italy had ever produced, and they arrived in 2002 knowing it. The group stage was unstable. Ecuador 2-0, lost to Croatia 2-1, drew with Mexico 1-1, into the knockouts, and then South Korea, and then one of the most chaotic refereeing performances in World Cup history. A goal disallowed. Another goal disallowed. Totti sent off for a dive that, well, I've watched it back many times, and I'll leave it at that. South Korea score a golden goal in extra time. Italy are out, and that's what really bothers me. Trapattoni was too conservative. Totti and Del Piero barely played together in the same starting 11. That's extraordinary. You have two of the best attacking players on the planet, and you're managing them like they can't coexist. Maybe with different coaching or better refereeing, Italy would have reached the final in 2002. Maybe they would have won it. We'll never know. 2006, Brazil, eliminated in the quarterfinals by France, 0-1. This one still genuinely frustrates people, because on pure individual talent, that Brazilian squad might have been the most gifted group assembled at any tournament since their own 2002 side. In goal, Dida, right back, Cafu, center back, Lucio, beside him, Juan, left back, Roberto Carlos, holding midfield, Emerson, next to him, Zé Roberto, and then, the magic square, Kaká, Ronaldinho, up front, Adriano, and leading the line, Ronaldo. On paper, this was one of the greatest teams ever. The group stage was comfortable. 1-0 against Croatia, 2-0 against Australia, 4-1 against Japan. Then 3-0 against Ghana in the last 16. They were cruising. And then came France. And Zidane, 1-0. A Zidane masterclass in his second-to-last ever competitive match. Brazil barely showed up. And that, honestly, was the real problem. The preparation for that tournament was famously chaotic. The atmosphere in the Brazilian camp felt more like a carnival than a serious World Cup campaign. Too many egos, not enough structure, a coaching setup that never fully got the best out of that group. Ronaldinho at his absolute peak, Kaká, Adriano, Robinho coming off the bench in almost every single game. This should have been a title-winning squad. Instead, they went home in the quarterfinals, outfoxed by a 34-year-old playing some of the best football of his career. 2010, Netherlands, runner-up. Lost the final to Spain, 0-1. After extra time, Spain were the better team in that final. Xavi, Iniesta, David Villa, Busquets, the the greatest generation in Spanish football history, and genuinely one of the best national squads ever assembled. They deserved the title, but the Netherlands were right there behind them, and they'd had a brilliant tournament. In goal, Stekelenburg. Right back, Van der Wiel. Center back, Mathieson. Beside him, Heitinga. Left back, Van Bronckhorst. In the double pivot, Van Bommel and De Jong. Behind the forwards, Sneijder. Out wide on the right, Robben. On the left, Kuyt. And the center forward, Van Persie, Van Bommel and Nigel De Jong as the defensive shield. Sneijder pulling the strings in behind, Robben, Kuyt, and Van Persie providing the attacking threat. This wasn't the beautiful, open Dutch football of the 1970s. It was pragmatic, physical, and at times quite rough. But it worked. They went through the group stage unbeaten, 2-0 against Denmark, 1-0 against Japan, 2-1 against Cameroon, then 1-0 past Slovakia in the last 16, 2-1 against Brazil in the quarters, 3-2 against Uruguay in the semis, and then the final, where Iniesta's extra-time winner ended it. Wesley Sneijder, by the way, should have won the Ballon d'Or that year. I will die on that hill. Holland in 2010 weren't beautiful, but they were brilliant. Second best side at that World Cup without question. 2014 Argentina, runner-up. Lost the final to Germany. 0-1 after extra time. Gutsy's winner in the 113th minute. Germany were the better team across that tournament. Their 7-1 against Brazil in the semi-final is still one of the most astonishing results in the history of the sport. They deserved the title, but Argentina had a remarkable run of their own. In goal, Romero. Right back, Zabaleta. Center back, De Michelis. Beside him, Garay. Left back, Rojo. In the double pivot, Mascherano and Biglia. And then, Messi. Out wide, Lavezzi. On the other side, Di Maria. And leading the line, Higuain. Mascherano especially was one of the best players in that tournament. This was a Messi-driven side, not the most glamorous Argentine squad ever assembled, but a team that was hard to break down, tactically disciplined, and capable of winning ugly when it needed to. Beat Bosnia 2-1 in the group stage, ground past Iran 1-0, came from behind against Nigeria 3-2, then 1-0 against Switzerland in extra time in the last 16, 1-0 against Belgium in the quarters, beat the Netherlands 4-2 on penalties in the semis after a goalless draw. And we cannot forget Higuain, who had a chance in the final that, I'll be diplomatic here, he'll probably never fully forget for the rest of his life. If one moment in that final goes differently, one moment, we're talking about Messi winning the World Cup in 2014, and not just winning it anywhere, winning it in Brazil, on Brazilian soil, in the Maracana, against a German side in a final played in the home of their greatest rivals. 2018 Belgium, 3rd place, lost to France 0-1, beat England 2-0 in the 3rd place playoff. France won 2018. Mbappé, Griezmann, Pogba, Kanté, fully deserved. But look at what happened around them. Germany, the defending champions, eliminated in the group stage. Brazil outclassed in the quarters. Croatia reaching the final through 3 separate shootouts. And Belgium, playing some of the best football in the tournament and going home in the semis. In goal, Courtois. Right back, Meunier. And then the back 3, Alderweireld, Kompany, Vertonghen. Left back, Chadli. In the double pivot, Witsel and Fellaini. Behind the forwards, De Bruyne. Up front, Eden Hazard. And beside him, Lukaku. Courtois is in goal, and that save on Neymar's header against Brazil is still one of the best saves I've seen at a World Cup. That back 3 of Alderweireld, Kompany, and Vertonghen. 3 Premier League veterans, experienced, physical, organized, almost impossible to get in behind. Witsel and Fellaini as the defensive shield, and then De Bruyne, free to do whatever he wanted. De Bruyne, who at this point I'd watch week in week out at City, absolutely unplayable on his best days. 3-0 Panama, 5-2 Tunisia, 1-0 England with a rotated squad, then 2-0 down at halftime against Japan, and they won 3-2. One of the greatest comebacks in history. And then the Brazil game, they outplayed Brazil in the first half. Not just beat them, outplayed them, 2-1. And then, France, a deflected set piece, 1-0. Belgium's golden generation, De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, Kompany, Courtois. never won a major international trophy. 2018 was the closest they got, and they lost to a deflection in the semifinal. Belgium's golden generation, the best squad in their history, and when they came home with third place, Belgium gave them a hero's welcome, open-top buses, crowds in the streets, the kind of reception usually reserved for champions. And in a way, for a country that had never gone that deep in a World Cup, it made sense. Third place was historic. The nation celebrated it like a title. 2022, France, a hat trick in a World Cup final, and it still wasn't enough. Argentina won, Messi won, and honestly, I didn't mind. Even as someone who wasn't supporting Argentina, it felt right. What Messi did in that tournament puts him in a conversation with Maradona, Pelé, Zidane, Garrincha. Historical. The trophy felt inevitable. In goal, Loris. Right back, Pavard. Center back, Upamecano. Beside him, Konate. Left back, Lucas Hernandez. In the double pivot, Tchouaméni and Rabiot. Behind the forwards, Griezmann. Out wide on the right, Dembélé. On the left, Mbappé. And leading the line, Giroud. Tournament was steady. 4-1 Australia, 2-1 Denmark. Then a rotated side lost 1-0 to Tunisia. 3-1 Poland in the 16. 2-1 England in an outstanding quarterfinal. 2-0 Morocco in the semis. And then that final, which for the record is in my opinion the greatest game in World Cup history. I'll take that argument anywhere. Argentina 2, France nothing at halftime. Looked done. Then Mbappé, 2 goals in 2 minutes, 74th minute penalty, 81st minute volley, 3-2 with 10 minutes to go, then 3-3. Extra time, penalties, 4-2 Argentina. Everything that football can be, compressed into 120 minutes. If you haven't watched it back, watch it back. There is no better advertisement for this sport than that game. And at the center of it, Kylian Mbappé, who scored a hat trick in a World Cup final. A hat trick in a World Cup final, and still ended up on the losing side. Let that sink in for a moment. France in 2022 were an elite squad. They just had the misfortune of running into one of the great individual tournament performances in the history of the game. Well, and that was it. Do you agree with this list? Or is there a team I've missed, an argument I've got wrong? Tell me in the comments. I want the debate, fellas. And if World Cup football is what you're here for, there's another video on this channel that goes even deeper. Check it out next. See you there.